Welcome back to the DA Sports Roundup, and we're on camera now. Your host, Charles Montgomery, along with my co-host, Nick Kremer. We were a podcast in the spring, but now we are doing a camera version of this show. Nick, how you feeling, buddy?
I feel great. I feel like I have a face for radio, though, but, we're good.
Not with that beard you don't, man. You look beautiful. Michael Strahan will be proud in his line of clothing right now.
Yeah.
Looks really sharp. But this week on the DA Sports Roundup, we are talking football, we're talking women's soccer, men's soccer, and a little bit of tennis. So, Nick, football. West Virginia football coming off a huge win against number 15 Virginia Tech over the weekend, 27-21. Now the Mountaineers head into Norman, Oklahoma, take on Lincoln Riley, Spencer Rattler. How do you feel about their chances against the Sooners?
I feel like they're a little higher because of the Virginia Tech win. Still not high. I think it's still a pretty low grading team this year. I don't expect them to go in and upset a number 4 ranked Oklahoma in Oklahoma.
Since the Mountaineers have joined the Big 12, they've never won in Norman, Oklahoma. Last time they played there, it was a 52-14 shellacking in 2019. Neil Brown's first year in his tenure. Not a great history to go in with. You're playing Saturday night football. Even worse, you're playing a night game in Norman, Oklahoma. That's a rough start as well for the Mountaineers. And speaking of the mediocrity around this team, do you think it starts with the quarterback play, or is it another position?
I would say it starts with the quarterback play, but it's not just the quarterback play. You also got to look at the coaching position. The play calls that we're getting here, if you look at the end of the Virginia Tech game, it was 3rd and 10. 2 minutes left on the clock. Virginia Tech down 6. West Virginia has the ball. Most people call a run there.
No timeouts for Virginia Tech, by the way.
Yes, no timeouts. Most people call a run. You either get the first down or you are forced to punt. Minute 20 left. Tech would have to go the entire field. Instead, Coach Brown calls a screen play with two receivers in the area. I'm not sure if that was planned, miscommunication, what happened there. Wasn't good. Diggy threw it a little high. It gets picked off, taken back into the red zone. You put a lot of stress on that defense, and they came through against the lesser Virginia Tech. I don't see that happening against an Oklahoma team.
Frankly, Nick, the screen pass, I think you and I could run a screen pass better than West Virginia football can with toddlers. You have to admit it. The screen plays have not worked in the 3 years Neil Brown's been here. He still calls them.
He calls a lot of them.
Sometimes they work, but a lot of times they don't work. There have been a few times where you have an instance, what happened with Dagey late against Virginia Tech, where you have an interception that really puts a lot of pressure, like you said, on the defense. And the West Virginia defense, speaking of them, that's the reason why they're 2-1 right now. They have been a great unit in Neil Brown's tenure. That has been the staple of this program since he took over in Morgantown, and it's no different this year. And I think it's a little bit more pressure on the West Virginia defense because Dagey's not showing what he was showing last year, which was decent consistency. We're not saying Dagey was ever a top quarterback in the Big 12 or the country or anything like that.
No, I don't think anyone was ever saying that. I think for the most part, everyone was like, if he can play consistent and not lose you the game, you have a chance in a lot of games. This week is interesting. To me, you got West Virginia, probably the best defense in the Big 12 against the best offense in the Big 12, if not the country, in Oklahoma. It's going to be a battle. I think because of Dagey, though, he's going to make some mistakes, and that's the issue.
It's an interesting point, too, as well, because in the preseason, right before the season began against Maryland, Neil Brown even said, offense going to run through Letty Brown. Haven't seen that much, especially in the Maryland game. It was clearly present. He did have an 80-yard touchdown run against Virginia Tech, second play of the game for the West Virginia offense. But it's not running through Letty Brown. When you say the offense is going to run through a player, especially a guy like Letty Brown, your running back, you would expect 30, 35 carries a game. Maybe that might be pushing it, but you'd expect more production out of him, and we're not seeing it. Are there factors on this team, maybe the offensive line, maybe too much commitment to Dagey's ability to throw the ball? What are the issues you think there with the offense?
I don't think it's on the offensive line. I mean, we've seen that there's holes, obviously, with the 80-yard touchdown run with the first half against Maryland. I think the play calling ends up going more Dagey at certain points, especially if the team is down a score or 2 scores. No matter how much time is left, they get away from the running game. and that's been the issue. If they can stick with the running game, even when it's not working, stick with it, get it to work, get play action to work. I think that's the biggest issue. I also think, though, they need to use Mathis more with Letty Brown and get a good running back by committee going.
I think that would be a great idea, too. You take off the pressure of Letty Brown. He knew the pressure coming into this year, had a 1,000-yard-plus season last year here in Morgantown, declared the baddest man in Morgantown, by the way, Gus Johnson. Fox Sports did that. Shout out to Gus J. And so you have a lot of pressure on yourself. The offense, your quarterback's not helping you out that much. You don't have a backup right now. Mathis was nursing that ankle injury going into the Maryland game. Didn't see him at all against the Terrapins. So you have a lot of pressure on yourself if you're Letty Brown, and you're trying to take, but then you have the pressure on the defense and the defensive line and the secondary and everyone there. So if you're Letty Brown, you have pressure on yourself, but then you know the offense needs to step it up because the pressure is on the defense right now to win you football games like it was a year ago.
The biggest thing to help this defense is if the offense can take more time off the clock. I'm not asking them to score more points, just take more time off the clock on their way to score points,
Nick is imploring with the West Virginia offense, please, for him, take time off the clock. Just do it. We've been a struggling team with clock management in the 3 years since young Neil Brown took over at the helm, and it's still kind of an issue, the clock management. Well, we're not going to go into that. Nick and I have shared our issues with that capacity of the game on multiple occasions.
And on multiple platforms.
On multiple platforms as well. Yes, it is. So let's talk about an elite offense. Let's talk about this quarterback in Norman, Oklahoma. That is Spencer Rattler. Arguably easily one of the top 5 quarterbacks in college football.
But let's not get away from it. He has not looked that great this early in the season. Last year he did the same thing early in the season, came alive second half of the season. I shouldn't even say second half. Pretty much as soon as Big 12 play started, he came alive. I expect him to do the same this year. He's an elite quarterback in college football.
Nicholas, you going after the West Virginia defense here, sir?
No.
I think you are.
No.
He's thinking Rattler's going to take off, folks, here.
No,
Is he going to pitch for 500 yards here?
No, what I'm saying is I think he gets back on track. I don't think he has an exceptional game. I think he makes the first step to being back on track.
Okay. You're right, though. He did take off in the Big 12 play. He's playing all right now. Going into the season, clear-cut Heisman Trophy favorite. I would have to say, I think, out of quarterbacks, quarterback-wise, I think out of returning quarterbacks, you'd have to agree with me there.
Out of returning quarterbacks, yes.
Easily.
Yes.
Him and Sam Howell, I think, were the competitor. Sam Howell, quarterback at North Carolina. But Rattler, he's still one of the best in Big 12 coming into this. He's a very good quarterback, very capable quarterback, not only with his arm, but with his legs. And head coach Neil Brown at his Tuesday press conference had this to say about Spencer Rattler's arm talent.
The thing about Rattler is his arm talent is so unique. That's, he can move, he extends plays. They can run him if they want to run him. They choose not to. But he has one of the strongest arms and one of the quickest releases that I've seen in however long I've been doing it.
So Neil Brown clearly recognizes the talent in his opposing quarterback here. What is your concern with him? They already faced Talia Tagovailoa, who can run the ball pretty well at quarterback. Is there an issue there with Rattler on Saturday?
So I like to look at them a lot as similar players here. Now, the West Virginia defense did a great job against Maryland in keeping the quarterback contained, not letting him run. But by doing so, they allowed receivers to get over the top of the defense, feed them down the field. And Jarrett and Demas for Maryland were very good receivers. Oklahoma's got some really good receivers
Marvin
as well.
Mims, definitely a guy that stands out easily. An incredible receiver. It's continuing the trend Oklahoma's had for many years. CeeDee Lamb, Marquise Hollywood Brown. They've had some great options. Rambo was very good last year. So they've had some great options. It's going to be another test for the secondary. Darrell Porter Jr., Alonzo Adai, Sean Mahone. They've had some tests already this year. And so you kind of had a break last week with Virginia Tech. It's not a passing offense, not a pass-first offense, really.
No.
But they are going to have a test on Saturday. I think Oklahoma has in this case, a superior offense.
Superior offense to our defense is what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes, I would have to agree. You look at you break down receivers are better. Their running backs are probably better than our linebackers, and their line is much bigger than our defensive line. We're going to need to see Jordan Leslie scheme up some really weird things going into this game. And if there's one guy on that defense coaching staff, I think he's the guy that knows what he's doing scheme-wise to stop them.
Again, Nick is imploring. This time it's Jordan Leslie in the West Virginia defense. Please, scheme up something fantastic. Scheme up something outrageously cool that can get after Rattler. Contain him, but put pressure on him.
Yes, that's the biggest thing. You can't just contain, you have to shrink the pocket on him from the inside.
I like that. I like these points. Nicholas Kremer here. He will be in the NFL eventually. Not playing. He has the size for it. I'm not going to let him stand up here. It doesn't make me feel short if he's not standing up. But to wrap up our football talk, let me just get a score prediction here, Nick, just for the people out there. What do you think happens on Saturday?
I think West Virginia is going to give up the most points they have and will this season. Offensively, they're not going to score too much. I'm going to go 35-21, Oklahoma.
Faith in the West Virginia offense to put up 21. I appreciate that, Nick. I don't think that they will. I'm saying 42-17, Oklahoma. I think it's just going to be a repeat of what we saw 2 years ago in Norman, and I think it just continues to be bad for West Virginia against the Sooners. So, Nick, before we wrap up here, let's talk a little bit about Varsity Sports here at West Virginia. Men's soccer, still undefeated, number 4 in the country. They play St. Bonaventures on Saturday. We haven't made it out to a game yet at Dick Gillespie Soccer Stadium. We plan to eventually make it out there. Maybe we'll take you along with us, folks. We'll do a little bit of shooting on the side there, get some B-roll for you. Maybe we'll run the field. Maybe we'll storm the field.
Yeah.
And Dan Strapper's got to tackle us. He talks a lot. Big game, man. He talks a big game. He wants blood in the water, like he said on Tuesday against Dayton. It was a 3-0 win, by the way. He likes to see blood in the water. We'll give him blood in the water. He'll come after us.
Yeah.
Make him come after us. Staying on the soccer pitch, women's soccer, they are right on the cusp of playing Big 12 soccer. They open Friday night at home against Iowa State. Mountaineers, they have been a solid team in the conference since joining the Big 12 many years ago. They look to continue that reign on Friday night starting with the Iowa State Cyclones. Big matchup, Nick.
Huge.
Soccer
going very well.
Soccer insight right here.
Yeah.
He's got it.
Football.
There we go. Volleyball also kicks off its Big 12 slate this weekend, Friday and Saturday, a doubleheader at home against the Oklahoma Sooners. And also on Friday, the West Virginia tennis team, whose season was cut short last year due to COVID-19, is back, and it's in Charleston. Thunder in the Mountains tournament, co-hosting Mountaineers back on the courts. Nick, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. They had a good season last year. I think they can be, just as good as last season, if not better.
They got a great coach out there, Michal Isaac. Hopefully they keep it going. Well, Nick, that is it. Episode 1 in the books, on camera. Thanks for coming along,
Huge.
sir. We did great. We'll see you guys next time.